Zika virus and how is it spread?
Okay, Zika is a viral infection that's spread primarily through the bite of an infected mosquito. Typically, the way it works is it's a person to mosquito to person transmission cycle. Say a mosquito bites a person who is sick with Zika and then can potentially transmit it to someone else. Now, Zika is not a new virus. It's not a new disease. It was first isolated in 1947 in the Zika forest, Uganda. And in 1954, I believe it was first isolated from a person. And since then, we have seen sporadic cases throughout Africa and also parts of Asia. But in May of 2015, there was the first recorded transmission in Brazil. So,
Well, it's been almost a year ago.
Almost a year ago, yes. It's important to note, though, that 80% of the people who are infected with Zika will not become sick. Now, for the last 20%, typically it's a very mild illness. Typically it's fever, rash, joint pain, and conjunctivitis, which is red eyes. Typically, again, the illness is mild and the symptoms can last from several days up to maybe a week. But Zika could also be associated with some more severe outcomes, such as microcephaly, which is currently being investigated in parts of the world. And Zika does remain in an infected person's blood for about 1 week.
For just a week?
Just a week, yes.
So that dastardly mosquito, it bites someone and then carries the virus to someone else.
Someone else, correct.
And you know, until then, I've never heard of the Zika forest in Uganda.
Right.
I guess that's a good thing. Have there been any cases of Zika in Virginia?
According to the latest data published by the CDC, I believe it was dated to March 23rd of this year, there have been 7 cases of Zika here in Virginia. Now, it's important to note, though, they're all travel associated, meaning the individual traveled to parts of the world where Zika is cycling in the population and picked it there and brought it back here. Now, the important thing to note is, as we talked about earlier, Zika can remain in a person's blood up to a week. So if a person is sick or symptomatic, they could potentially serve as a source for Zika transmission locally with the local mosquito populations.
I don't want to embarrass you, but you're probably one of the most brilliant people that I know when it comes to mosquitoes, okay?
I have no life and I study them, so yeah.
Well, you do very well with that. And so I want to ask you, we're going to put up a couple of pictures on the screen, but I want to ask you, what type of mosquitoes transmit Zika?
Right. Well, of the many different types of mosquito we have here locally, there are only 2 species that could potentially transmit Zika that we know of at this time. The first is Aedes aegypti, which is a yellow fever mosquito. And the second is Aedes albopictus. That's the Asian tiger mosquito. Now, happily, Aedes aegypti does not occur here locally, so the only one we have to really worry about is Aedes albopictus, the Asian tiger mosquito.
I'm glad that they gave them other names, you know, the lay people like myself can recognize. You mentioned the Asian tiger mosquito as being the one that carries Zika in this area. What can you tell us about the biology of the Asian tiger mosquito, you know, its biting preferences and so forth?
Well, it's a very interesting species. I mean, first, it's very distinctive. If you ever spent time in your backyard during the summertime, they're a little black mosquito with like white banding on the legs and the thorax, so forth. But again, very distinctive in terms of how they look. Now, they are actually an invasive species. They're not native to this particular area. They were introduced into the United States back in the late, I believe, 1980s in Texas. Yeah. And since then, they have spread all over the southeastern part of the U.S., the south central part. And like all mosquitoes, they undergo a complete metamorphosis in terms of their life cycle. And 3 of the 4 life stages involve water. The egg, larvae, and the pupa stage all involve water. Okay. You have the flying adult stage. Now, interesting thing about the Asian tiger mosquito is they breed exclusively in containers. You will not find them in a roadside ditch or a pond or a stream, exclusively in containers, which means they're commonly found in individuals' backyards.
I've killed a few of them on my.
Oh yes, oh yes. I think we all have. So, and they have a very short flight range too. They're not going to fly far from your backyard. You know, there are some mosquito species that could potentially fly for miles, but this particular type, maybe 1 to 2 city blocks at the course of their lifespan.
Wow.
So they're going to stay close to home.
Yeah.
And in terms of biting preferences, they like to bite during the day and typically bite low. Some people call them little ankle biters because they like to kind of bite low on the body.
Interesting.
And in terms of food sources, they're very indiscriminate in terms of what they choose in terms of their blood meal. They may bite a person, they may bite your dog or cat. So they're not really too picky, they're not too selective.
It's all about survival.
Absolutely, yes.
At the low level.
At the low level, yes.
How can our viewers reduce the risk of exposure? Not so much in personal protection, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but what can they do to prevent the infestation of Asian tiger mosquitoes?
The number one thing an individual can do is check around their backyard and their home for any sort of potential sources that are holding standing water. Even something as small as like a bottle cap that's been upended and it's potentially holding maybe even like a teaspoon of water could potentially serve as a source for these mosquitoes to lay their eggs and have them hatch out. So it's very important that at least once a week, maybe every 5 to 7 days or so, dump your standing water in your yard. If you have a bird bath, make sure you dump that out. Discard anything that you may not use, any tires or something, any sort of old buckets, make sure they're dumped out periodically or discarded. And I guess another source too is you want to look up and check your gutters. If they're clogged, if there's like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree going out of your gutter, it's probably clogged and could be holding water and could also serve as a potential breeding source. So generally before the start of the mosquito season, you want to go and make sure all your gutters and downspouts are all cleaned out.
Now, what we do in terms of mosquitoes and so forth, that's a part of our integrated pest management program, the IPM program. Tell us about that and how does that work?
Okay, now the IPM is a carefully planned, and basically it's a science-based approach to mosquito control. It's a very broad-based approach. It targets every stage of the mosquito life cycle, from the larval stage to the flying adult. And everything from, say, source reduction, the dumping of standing water, all the way through, say, treatments of water that can't be dumped, on the way up through, say, fogging as needed. And again, it includes chemical and non-chemical methods. And properly planned is really, again, a broad-based approach, and it's more effective than any one single form of mosquito control. And a key to this is mosquito surveillance through regular monitoring and trapping of the mosquito populations as they occur throughout the season. And that gives you an idea of how to target your specific intervention strategies based upon the species you're trying to go after. Because, let's see.
So how can people personally protect themselves against mosquitoes, you know, from the bite of a mosquito?
Personally protect themselves, use things such as like clothes that are light, loose, and long. You want to use things such as insect repellent that contains no more than 50% DEET for adults and less than 30% DEET for children. And always be sure to follow the directions on the label. And you always to stay indoors when mosquitoes are most active. It depends upon the species. With the Albopictus, they bite during the day, but there's some species dawn dusk when they are most active. And always want to make sure that the screens are in good repair to keep the mosquitoes from coming inside your house.
And again, that's the Aedes aegypti?
Aedes albopictus.
But I mean, I'm just trying to name the two of them. I'm trying to
Aedes aegypti, the yellow fever mosquito.
And Aedes albopictus.
Albopictus, correct.
Okay. So what numbers can people call about mosquito fogging as well as vector control?
Okay. If anyone has any mosquito concerns, any mosquito complaints, they can call our vector control office. That's at 683-2840. And during the mosquito season, when the fogging trucks are out, again, we fog based upon our trap counts and kind of what we're seeing out in the communities. The mosquito fogging hotline is 683-2914, and press option number 4.
Option number 4.
That's correct.
No, did we talk about the season? When does the season begin and end typically?
Well, typically it starts in warm weather. We're seeing a lot of mosquito activity out there now, but as far as things really kicking off, generally in early May. We've already started doing some backyard inspections. We have started doing some early season treatments because really to kind of get really kind of a good early start on this to keep the mosquito populations from actually getting off to an early start.
You know, we had Penny Smelser on,
Oh, yes.
who also is pretty knowledgeable on mosquitoes, and she bought a light trap. That was an interesting thing to see. So you use light traps and
We use a couple different trapping techniques, and again, they're set systematically throughout the season during the course of the year, and that gives us an idea of what mosquito species we're seeing at a given time, and also in what densities, what are the population densities.
And you guys actually, the surveillance, you count the number of mosquitoes that you trap?
Yeah, correct. We actually take them back to the lab, we render them unconscious, we knock them out, and then we key them out to the species level, and then we,
So you use a gas apparently to knock them out.
Dry ice typically use like CO2,
Really?
just kind of knocks them out.
And that's a part of the trap too, doesn't it?
Yeah, correct, because CO2 is the same thing that we exhale. So that serves as a mosquito attractant. So they are drawn to the trap by both the light and also the CO2 that it lets off.
I tell you, it's very interesting stuff that you do. It really, truly is. You know, and we're Facebook fans, and I appreciate looking at what you're doing when you go out into the wilds and just enjoy yourself. We really enjoy ourselves vicariously through the work that you do.
Thank you. Thanks.
North, thank you so very much for coming on to the show. We really, truly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you again.
All right.
And we want to thank you for joining us. If you want to see previous editions of Health Watch, you can catch them online at www.norfolk.gov/HealthWatch. If you'd like to drop me a line, you can email me at terrence.affer-anderson@vdh.virginia.gov. Of course, you can always call me at 757-683-8836. That's 757-683-8836. For the Norfolk Department of Public Health, I'm Terrence Affer-Anderson, and this has been Health Watch.